Okay? Yeah, that's good.
We're expecting John back.
Yes, he called to say that the train, his car was 15 minutes late, so he got.
What pair are you talking about? The pair. So no way to be might be back.
Sure. One night I know.
Oh, mighty python. Dead pair of chickens.
Ron's found something else.
Depends on the resolution. Depends on the resolution. 16. High definition.
So we got one for 14 and one for 13 left. One for 13 is pretty easy. Just $1,600. One, I would get passed over to you. Just so we can announce to everyone in the audience, there are 5, what I count, 5 audio recording devices and 1 video recording device. It's nice to have a coach over here giving me advice. I'm not beyond being coached. a smart woman. She brings her own bench cushion.
I guess I'm gonna stay for the end of this time.
Is that true? Makes sense?
Yep.
Feel caught up? Enough money for one night? Just a long week.
Was that right? There were 4. Is that right?
At least it's signed. All right, we got the bills paid. Fiscal year 13 is in the books. We got the second set of warrants for 14. We're on our way. So we'll wait for John. We'll take up the appointments that we have, but we'll wait for John to show up, of course, from next amp. Emily,
Yes,
you were the first one on my appointment list to show up, so why don't we
I
take
can go
you
first?
way out of order?
Okay, that's fine. I have one little piece of information that I'm just going to pass out first, and I'm not even sure why I printed this off. It's okay. The people that did our roof repair project, our project manager and our OPM, Tom Capital, did such a good job and came in under budget. We asked them to do a survey of our schools to find out what condition our buildings were in for future capital projects. And as a member of the long-range planning committee, you'll definitely get a copy of the report. It's very big. There's one for each school, very extensive. This was just page 5, which gave you the total number they're recommending by school over 15 years. Now, this doesn't mean we're going to do this. Obviously, the 2014 budget's already been voted, so those numbers. But I just want to let you know that this is available. We have this done for long-range planning. It should be posted on the website soon, and that's where I recommend looking for it because it's too big to email. So that's just for
So your note on the top says it's on, for Mohawk, it's only $2 million.
Yeah, for repairs over the next 15 years, that's what they estimate. And this page that I printed out from page 5, I believe, shows, again, what they recommend per year, but it's poor quality, so I don't know if you can even read those numbers at the bottom. Okay, so the real reason I'm here today, should I be speaking microphone?
I think everybody can hear you all right. I
Hold
hope.
my back to everybody. Maybe I should stand over here unless I'm not shoving my back. Okay, so I'm here to get feedback to bring back to the full committee. And Diane was at our last full committee meeting, so if I missed something, she'll correct me. And if you would like me to meet with the finance committee or want to put any of this on the agenda for your next meeting, just let me know. So I'm trying to find out from the finance and select board what they feel about this latest thing that happened. Okay, so as you know, there's 2 pieces to the town's assessment. One's the minimum contribution that comes from the state. They decide how much each town minimum should pay. And then there's above minimum, which is how much we want above that, and then we divide it based on a formula of 500. Okay, so over the past 6 years, the state has also used something called the aggregate wealth model. And basically what this says is there are some towns that the minimum contribution is not what it should be. So we're going to try to get you closer to what you should be paying by either stepping you up or stepping you down. And they were stepping people down at 15% per year, stepping towns that had to go higher at 1 to 2% per year. This is how they're doing it, but it was a moving target. because,
State
Now-
formulas so
yes.
often are.
but as each town's minimum contribution changed each year, that the step up will never really ever get you to 100% of where you should be. So the governor this year just said, this is silly. We're just going to assess everybody at 100% of where they should be, and we're not going to mess around with this 15% every year anymore. And like you know, this is what we build our budget on, is the governor's budget. So last Friday, the state finally decided what their budget was going to be. The legislature said, no, Mr. Governor, we're not going 100%. We like our 15% formula. We're going to go back to that. So what this actually does is it doesn't change the Mohawk overall budget. We're fine with the money that we got. But what it does is it changes that minimum contribution to each town and throws off how much each town has to contribute to make that total budget. So, we're in here. Before I show you the numbers of what this means, I want to walk you through what we go from here. We have two options at this point. We can leave the budget the way we voted at all the town meetings and just go with that. That's perfectly legal. This hasn't happened in the state before, but an advisory came out and is on the Massachusetts website that says that's okay. You can just go with what you've got for this year and not mess with it. The other choice is to bring these new assessment numbers to the towns and see if they want to go with the new way the formulas were doing it. What happens is, if you live in a town where your assessment has gone down, you don't have to revote. We can reduce your assessment without, there'll be implicit approval. If you don't act, we'll say that you agree to be assessed less, and that's okay. If you live in a town where your assessment has gone up, you have to have a town meeting. And in order for the new assessment to pass, we have to get approval from 2/3 of the towns, plus whatever towns go up have to approve. Does this make sense? Did I lose anybody?
Say that last word again?
If we want to go with the new state numbers, so that each town pays a different portion from what we originally voted in May, we have to have 2/3 of the town approve. So if you live in a town where your assessment went down, you can give approval by not doing anything. The 2/3 of those towns have to agree, but it also requires a yes vote in the towns whose assessment has gone up. So even if 2/3 of the towns say, this is great, if that one town whose assessment went up says, no way, it's not changing for anyone. Okay? So that's what we have to do. So the reason, again, I'm here is we want guidance.
So does that mean that the school district has to collect the money that's been voted, or does it throw the whole?
No, it means that we go back to the budget that was voted in May, and that's what we go with for the next year. So again, the reason I'm here is to get feedback from the select board and hopefully the finance committee to bring back to the school committee before our August meeting to say, how are the towns feeling? Do the towns say, let's just stick with what we've got? Or do the towns say, no, we want to try to get this new numbers pushed through? And as you can guess, that's going to depend a lot on whether the town's going up or going down.
Whose ox is being gored?
Heat. If you look at the last two columns, the very last column
Thank you.
is what the new town assessments would be. So as you can see, Ashfield, if we rewrote the new formula, should get back just under $16,000. Towns like Coleraine could get back $30,000. But Heath is going to have to pay an extra $74,000, and they've already got their town budget in place. They've already voted. So what we're seeing is, you gotta weigh what are the odds of, even if you want that $16,000 back, how is everybody strong on Heath into coming up with an extra $74,000? What's the likelihood of that happening? I don't know, that's your call, that's why I'm here. We don't want to make that call, so we're bringing it back to you guys to say, should we just stick with what we've got, or should we try to fight for that $16,000? Maybe not, not really.
come back to me with what changed in the formula to make this little town of Heath have to pay $74,000 more. I mean, the number of students haven't changed.
Now, several years ago, and I'm not sure exactly when, at least 5 years ago maybe, their assessment went way up. One really rich person moved into town and it knocked them totally out of whack and it bumped their assessment way up. So they are already paying way above what their minimum contribution should be. This is one of those things where their formula keep them way up, and now the state is saying, you're paying way more than you should, so we're gonna knock you down by 15% each year to get you to where you should be paying. Because
Knocking down the state aid.
yeah, so, they were here, and the governor said, we're not gonna knock you down 15%, we're gonna go to 100% of what you should be paying, so he knocked them way down here. And then the legislature came in and said, we're not doing 100%, we're only doing 15, so that bumped them back.
So this 74,000 represents which one? The state legislature?
Yes, the one that was passed on Friday.
And what would it have been if it was the governor's?
Well, it would have been, it's there in your second column, it would have been the 74,000 less, it's what they voted in May.
If they voted the governor's formula, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
And this isn't just our district, this has happened all over the state. Everybody builds their budget based on the governor's numbers because the legislature does it so late in the process. We're required to have our numbers in every year.
So here's the other question. With these numbers at this level, how much more is Heath's assessment than it was the year before?
I think on the chart, I didn't do the chart for myself, I think it has the prior year's assessment and what we voted this year. I think prior year's assessment is like this, is it here?
Let me see it.
No, I guess Joan didn't, sorry, she just gave me these sheets like an hour ago. So I know, I'm sorry, it's all
Well,
on
it
the
says,
website,
it says here that their required minimum contribution went up, will go up $46,000.
So you do.
Our required minimum contribution went up $70,000.
It did, and that's the thing about the formula, because there's two pieces. There's the minimum contribution plus the over minimum. So our minimum went up, and a lot of them did. But what they did was it left less of the total budget as the above minimum, and that's broken out based by our regional formula, by your rolling average, and Ashfield kind of tends to be on the bad end of the stick with that one. So when there's less of that portion to be divvied up between the towns, that's why we say it.
So if you go one more year out on this, the next cycle, even if everything stayed, whatever everybody voted, the next time around, it looks like he will get even a bigger bite because they're going to.
You can't guess based on this year's numbers what next year's going to be. There are so many factors that go into that state formula that we've tried for years to try to be able to predict what it's going to be, and we just can't.
So, if 2/3 of the towns, which would be pretty easy on here,
Yes, because only
for
two.
two-thirds of the towns vote to reduce their assessments, somebody may have to swallow a bitter pill.
No, because they
No.
need the ones that went up.
He
Have
has
to
to vote yes.
approve, yes.
It's not just 2/3. It's 2/3 plus Heath and Charlemont, which are the two towns that go up. They have to vote yes.
I thought the whole budget was if 2/3 of the towns approve the budget, the rest of them have to swallow it. That's how it's always presented to me.
That's at the original town meeting. This is a change in our assessment from what was originally voted. And according to the state, and I'm not sure, if you look at the state website, it requires 2/3 vote, plus the towns that are going to have to.
So what's fair in May is not necessarily fair in July.
As I'm saying, this is what the state has ruled. This has never happened before. They said it's unprecedented. There's nothing in the laws on the books of how to handle it, so they issued an advisory. So if you go to the state website and type in the chapter 70, and I gave one page of that describe what's happening, but there's actually an advisory on it. And I can email it to you if you can't find it.
And it relates to regional
That
schools.
says this is how you're supposed to handle it. And it talks about all different kinds of school districts in Massachusetts. If you're this is how you handle it. If you're a regional school, this is how you handle it. And so they said, our budget that we voted in May, we can just go with that, or you can try and revote this.
So are you on a fact-finding mission or trying to get poll your select board or?
We're all going to our towns and just saying, what do you want us to do? Get a feeling. Do you, are you adamant that you want us to try to get that 16,000? Well, then we'll start the process of getting the paperwork out and seeing if you want to call a town meeting or not, or how you want to do it. That's what they recommend you do, is to tell you what happened and see if you say, let's do this, or it's not going to fly, it's not going to happen, let's just not worry about it.
So 2 towns would have to have meetings and vote to increase.
Right, Ashfield wouldn't have to have a meeting. If we didn't have a meeting, it would be implied approval. But if he didn't have a meeting, it would be implied a no vote, and then we would pass. So if they, we want to pursue, he said, we're not even going to bring this to our town, he said, no.
So both of them have to approve it for it to go forward.
Right.
But you
Charles
have
Marks
to
assessed it was
too.
like $1,000, but they have to do that.
Why would,
You don't have to tell me tonight, I have to know before our August meeting, which is August 14th, so you can always write me a letter.
What's that?
I think we should be able to come to closure on this tonight.
I hope so. I mean, my personal opinion, I don't see that we're gonna volunteer to pass up $16,000. We worked really hard all winter to save a quarter of that.
the owners would invest on heat.
Okay.
I mean, that's my opinion.
If they don't vote to do the increase, then it stands as is, but there's no reason not to say, we'd like to save 60,000. I can't imagine, you're going to say, we would love to pay 75,000 more. but-
Well, the thing is, if they don't pay it this year, they're really gonna get it socked to them next year.
Well, that's why I was asking.
If you keep taking these 15% steps, if they don't pay, I can see their assessment going up 150,000 next year if they keep the formula somewhere near constant. Am I wrong in that? Am I not following the?
Again, from year to year, it varies so much by town because the formula is so complex. I don't know.
Emily, what do you want from this board, a formal vote or just a sense?
Just a sense. That's enough for
I
me to
concur
regret.
with Tom and Paulette. I think I mean,
Might as well try.
fiscally, we should go after it and just make sense, be irresponsible, I think not to. I can imagine what I would say if I was Howard in the town of Ashfield, if that was reversed, but
Town of Heath.
town of Heath, I'm sorry.
So what if it doesn't? The assessments stay the same,
Then it's where we were in May, what we all voted in May.
which really means that the formula that's used to assess is thrown out the window. This is what I don't understand. We have this regional agreement that took forever to kind of agree on. And then it's taken years to update it and modify it and to make it so it's fair. And then just because of the date on the calendar, the state is saying you throw the whole damn thing out.
I guess
Of all the things that the Attorney General talks to us about, I would think the Attorney General would have something to say about this. And I gotta believe that the superintendent must be doing some research on it.
Yeah, I think that what we're hoping everybody understands is that, yes, this is something that people should get riled up about. I mean, how dare the state change something so fundamental, especially for a town like Keene, after they've already had town meetings, set their budget for the year, to be hit with a change like that is just wrong. But the ire needs to be directed at the state level. I mean, you know how it works with the town budget. How can the state set their budget after everybody else when we're relying on them? It's
Will this change things next year at all? Is there pressure on the legislature to get their act together prior to town meeting? Should we move town meeting date? I know that sounds crazy, but that's half our budget, as a school, and this doesn't make any sense. I agree with Tom. I mean, we should, how will it change next year?
I don't know. I can't imagine this won't have pushback from a lot of communities in Massachusetts. But I get surprised all the time. I think this should be getting everybody upset, and it doesn't. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay.
No, I can see where, why wouldn't Coleraine want to say something?
Over.
This was just serious.
Well, that's it. And two-thirds of the towns agreed to take their discount, right? Somebody else would be left over back. I think you got what you came looking for.
I did, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Now we can start closer to the top of the list. How's that? Did you have a slow train tonight? Is that what I heard?
Delayed train.
You had what?
I expected a delayed train out of Boston. To get to the car, to get in traffic. Out of here.
Okay, well, here we are. One short week later. Have you had a chance to go over the changes in the contract that
I've looked at it, but what's important to me is this email from Richard Holland what's the name of the firm?
Top of the page.
Kaufman page to John Murphy and to our admin assistant here. And it says, "This looks good to me. Attached is the agreement with all the changes accepted," in quotes. "I plan on having a call with the chair of the select board on Friday. Thank you." So it appears to me like the lawyers did their deal on this.
Yeah, and he left a message on my cell phone for me. By the time I got that message, it was after hours. And I already had the email, so I...
So it was similar, the message was something
Yeah,
that looks good to me.
he said that he'd been working all week with Nexamp, and they'd ironed out the last few things as far as he could see. It was set. It was a negotiated deal.
That means a lot to me. I mean, there's stuff in here I don't understand, and to have those guys come together is important.
So, and by the time I had it and had a chance to, to look it over,
So I'll just say basically you were correct at the end of last meeting that we were able to basically accept all of these changes. There were no, I think there were no sections where that we struck from his version. There might have been a little tweaking of language, but basically we accepted his document as you had presented last week.
I think last week in Article 5.1A, it talked about 100%, us buying 100% of the electricity or something, when it was, that's corrected to 2.4%.
Right.
Paulette, do you have? What did I have?
No, I didn't get a copy. I got this before the meeting. I went in and asked.
Right, I found it.
I guess I didn't have, I didn't have the email as much as he had said that we would have the email by the time I got to him on.
And it wasn't here when I left, so I just made copies for everybody. Oh, okay.
I was interested in his actual email company, because I was nervous that I had to go and get information to verify it, so when I saw that, I thought,
So the changes that we've seen in green line last week, that we were favorable for, if I understand correctly. Then they worked out a compromise version to there, basically it's the same as what we saw. For the most part, without checking, like you said,
yeah.
line for line. I find
John tells us you basically accepted all of
There were all of his, the language all except for the one thing that he had in there was the liquidated damages that was for 10,000. And so what we have done is we had agreed to 10,000. That was from the previous contract, as he had indicated. We agreed to 10,000 for a contract 10 times the size, so we just prorated the liquidated damages. That's really the one fundamental.
In other words, he was pulling information from other Nexamp files.
Exactly.
It was a good try on his part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We tend to pay close attention to the numbers in the contract, but it was a good try.
It was a good call on our part to go with that, too. Because it's much different than we got from California. That's good.
Article 13, the indemnification. There were no changes to that.
You know, we accepted that.
And I take it that since you're here, that the cap still must be open.
Yes, got an email from Lanico last week, but that email did say, and I can forward it around, but basically, caps are filling up so quickly. And they sent out the updated numbers for Lanico territory. Basically, there are 7 or 8 megawatts of projects left in Lanico, and there are, based on our analysis of the interconnection queue for this territory, there are over 12 megawatts in the queue at various stages. Ours happens to be the well-advanced stage, so we're comfortable that so our project is 2.5 of those 12, and 2.5 of the 8 left in the public cap from the territory. So more than a quarter of what's remaining is for our project. But we're confident that if we can get this executed and get the interconnected services agreement signed with the utility, which we're, this is kind of the last step there, that we'll be good to get under the cap for the new territory.
I'm noticing in Exhibit A, the chart with the discounts, 27% is it? Back in April, or March, we were talking about it.
I think you got to do 61 on those days.
So 27% is what it is, and it's fair. And there's something in here that says you can't offer a discount any higher to anybody else without
Exactly,
offering it to us.
Exactly. You have basically favored nation status in the contract where nobody else will get a better discount rate or a better floor price.
Well, we did discuss that the standard is 21%. And so by being the host here, we get the 27%.
Ron, do you have anything to add or detract? So, is there a motion to accept and to sign this contract, this 20-year contract?
Let's see, the signature page on this thing is one of us.
No, I have some signature pages here for all of you, so
I'll make the motion that we sign this contract before us between Nexamp Avenue Solar LLC in the town of Ashfield, as forwarded by Richard Holland. Right.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Do we just need to mention the name of it, the energy and net metering?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Credit purchase and sale agreement?
I'll accept that as a friendly.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's called the Energy and Net Metering Credit Purchase and Sale Agreement.
It's like we're doing the lightning round if we're getting through it this quick. I mean, if you're trained, and then 20 minutes later, we would have just handed it to you.
Well, I'm glad I was here for this portion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Unanimous. All right, now we'll get this done.
Should I say congratulations?
I will say congratulations.
We got four of these times?
16,000.
Is there some case to sign?
Yes, it's on the page.
Oh, so that was on the.
John, do you have authority to sign this on behalf of Nexamp?
Unfortunately, I do not, but we can get that executed tomorrow morning and send it over. Not yet.
That way, Paula.
Should we plug the fan in here? Should we plug the fan in here and bring it closer?
We're just using our creative side.
Hmm? Yeah.
Should roll in a big barn fan. So, The really good news is that by signing that tonight, we have completed our very first short-term objective for fiscal 14. Taking care of the civil credit deals. I just love scratching stuff off of the list. Alright? Good. Now we've got to talk some more.
About
The second part of the deal.
Time to read it, but I assume that they just tear this down or force it down, but it isn't.
We have to get you a list of the meters, is that through the HCOG is where we have to do that?
Well, actually, I have a list of the accounts that we have with us. And the ones that are real-time is you have profit share accounts and you have real-time accounts. The real-time accounts, I have account numbers for. The other ones, we would need the bills from Wamico to get the account numbers off of that. But I have a list of the accounts that we currently have with us. What I wasn't clear on was whether there were other accounts that were going to be added to the net metering arrangement and the energy supply arrangement. Like, there was discussion about the water district, and that I don't have that. I don't know if there are additional accounts. So all we need is the full list of accounts that will participate in this, so that I can have that. But I will also need copies of some of the bills for some of the accounts, because I don't have all the account numbers, the information on that.
So
And I will need that.
without that information, you're not prepared for us to sign the contract.
Well, I don't know, if he signed with,
I mean, I know you love driving up to Ashfield,
Love it. It's
but
not as bad as for him, though. I live in Northampton, so.
since we're doing all this, to be green, we probably like you to save on some gas.
So, but you've seen, you've seen the document. The only part that hasn't been filled out is the appendix that shows the list of accounts. So I'm not
and that
sure.
includes the board has settled.
On what, the list of accounts? I don't think we have. I mean, we're just going back and forth about talking about, we think about all the meters that we get billed for. Seems though we should be able to go through the file and make sure they're all on your list, right?
I have the list of accounts right here. Because I noted them today. Here. I can show you. What we have that are real-time accounts, and there are two wastewater treatment plant accounts. But otherwise, these are the names that show up on it. And maybe you'll recognize them.
The library, the highway garage, all the street lights, Main Street,
There were two with that name, so I put 1 and 2.
Town Hall and Firehouse. Huh?
And Buffalo Road.
Highway department? You have the highway department on?
Highway garage, yes.
Highway garage.
What about the building that's the barn up in the heavy garage? Right, they have electricity.
One building right now.
Right. Well, and in case there's missing.
So we have some time to update that list.
Let's do it, ASAP, so that everything is in place. But, the more accounts you have, the more you benefit from that 27% too.
Seems so you've got everything except that meter at the old highway garage.
And the water district will do it.
Well, the water, you're gonna do your own thing, the water district's gonna do their own thing.
because we're a separate entity, it just makes it too automatic. And we're already working on getting our own stuff, so. Any other news related to this?
And then it's like, yeah. Shows the beach the old highway garage. That's part of the
And we can't get a deal for the community, because they're like the orange.
Tom, do they have a sewer plant?
Wastewater treatment plant, yes.
How about the little pump house on Buckner Avenue?
Yeah, there were two for the sewer system, so.
Right, there's 2 meters listed.
Seems like we had some other systems that we talked about.
It's hard to pull out of the air, you know, talking about some. Is that house? That'd be the bathhouse, there's 1 meter on the pole there for the bathhouse and the chemical.
So, Mary's saying that maybe if you agree to this list, well, first of all, I showed her, this is the list that I have, I'm going to have you for the same reason, and this is basically what it's going to look like. But I'm looking for, the numbers and these are the account names. All I have today are the names. But if we agree to these accounts, then, you can sign this and put these 2 things together and then I'll provide, yeah. So this, well, that's separate.
So we could add, what do we call that building, barn or?
It's the industry project is using now, is that
Yeah,
right?
well, that's a park building.
It's a historic building.
And it's got its own meter. So we could call it
With
Main
Park
Street
Building
3.
What's that? Park Building 2, since one's about.
Or I call it the upper part. We think that was the upper part.
Upper park
Well,
building.
yeah, so if you want to, identify, but this is what I have in mind.
Yep, so we're adding 1.
Okay.
See, that used to be the highway garage, and then we built a new highway garage.
Okay, so it's called what?
We're gonna call it the upper park barn.
We need an address that's on Main Street.
It's on Main Street.
Is it Main Street all the way to the light, or is it all over? It's Main Street all the way to the light now. And I got your email that you saved $5,500 and it didn't cost us anything. That's a pretty good return on investment. There's only 1 meter down here as far as treatment plant.
As far as I know, the pump house. Well, they have wastewater treatment down there too. Assuming one is the plant, one is the pump house.
Does it say Bronson Avenue on there?
It doesn't specify. I don't want to look at the county again.
They're calling it Ashfield Library, not
Bronson Avenue, and then this one will be Conway Road. Right, so
So that's,
Let's put the 2 Main Streets, we could identify, one of them's going to be town hall and the other is fire.
Yeah, this is much for our use as it is for yours, because we have to put the bill on it, right?
we gotta get you the meter numbers and so forth.
right, exactly, that's
Transfer
right.
station. This one is, what do we call it? Park on Buckner.
Bathhouse.
And one of the largest geothermal installations in the
He
country.
called it park.
700 grades.
So this is our contract for Hampshire Solar and the HCOG.
For our part,
Yes,
to purchase supply, to supply from and then, after 5 years,
little bit different.
renew for another 5. So there's no obligation after this first 5 years, but this is the 5 years. And that's part of the Hampshire Solar.
Brian Clark,
Yes.
can you think of any meters that we're not thinking of? I mean,
I think I've heard everything. There's two different meters for or 2 different accounts for the street lights. I think I heard something to that.
it says all, it's listed here as all streetlights.
You have the bathhouse at the lake and the other building.
My memory of accounting for this is that street lights come in 2 different bills. They're broken up because of something about the technology of the lights, so there's 2 different accounts for those. But I think I've heard everything else
You only get one bill?
I'm aware of.
For streetlights, you only get one. Maybe we shut off all the other ones on that other street.
We shut off a lot of them. We shut off a lot of them.
I'd like to copy it.
Is there a motion?
I was just, if there is another bill, if all covers it, we can get it in the account from the bill. Just got to use it. Okay. I make a motion that we sign a 5-year contract, says notice of intent to purchase electricity, supply as participant in the Hampshire Solar Program.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Is that the right, contract? As participant in Hampshire Solar Program?
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking something.
The motion was to accept this agreement, which is titled Notice of Intent to Purchase Electricity Supply as a Participant in the Hampshire Solar Program.
It's a 5-year contract.
Five-year contract. We have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Sign it.
And we want to make sure, yes. Oh, yes. Did I sit there quietly? Sorry.
Maybe I wasn't gonna-
No, I agree.
And then there's on the top there's a name of the client. I guess that's the town of Ashfield.
Oh. You got another copy of this?
I do.
I was wondering why there weren't more signature lines.
Oh, you sign on the wrong side?
This is the one I was looking at. How about the competitive supplier contract?
That'll come later.
That'll come
That
later.
will be, when the time comes to actually purchase electricity, we'll be using that. And then you can go into maybe a 1-year contract or 2, or,
But this is the one that goes hand in hand with what we just did with John.
exactly.
question was where it says all streetlights, if we discover there is another separate bill,
If
we
you discover, let's
can
add.
just incorporate it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John, I know we just signed a signature page. I'm nervous about the rest of that document. I'm used to signing the corners of every page, and I'm not advocating that, but what's the process now? You go back and give us,
Going back and inserting the original document, and sending a fully executed copy by mail to you, as well as a PDF to you.
and you'll just check to make sure it's the most current version of the accepted
Yeah,
changes.
absolutely.
Thank you. Mary, you should check it when you receive it.
Okay.
All right. Zip it
Thank
along.
you very much.
Thank
I will keep you guys abreast of the project development and construction status.
Next week, or 2 weeks, we'll meet again in 2 weeks if you want to make the trip.
Yeah.
See you in the fall.
Doug,
Yes. I think
come up so I can hear you.
I think you have a mutual aid agreement.
Not yet? I got it. Let's get it.
Yep. This is a mutual aid agreement between Franklin County towns for a shelter program. This is the map of the shelters that have come up. As we say, Ashfield is a backup shelter. It is not a full regional shelter. This agreement is similar to the tri-state mutual aid agreement. It's very standard to you. And what it consists of is if we had a major disaster and we couldn't handle it at Sanderson, in this agreement, we could take the people to Maine and more as a mutual aid agreement. Whereas cost-wise, if we're in, we haven't had a shelter, we're in a state of emergency in town, and we want to reimburse from being on that agreement. But this gives us a authorization so that we can do mutual aid to other towns, and other towns in Ashfield can. And this is what this agreement is all about. And it started when we had the ice storm. Fire chiefs, police chiefs, emergency managers got together and decided we needed something to have a mutual aid signal to our ice storm. And then once the tornado came in Springfield, we realized, okay, and then of course the hurricane was so that they came up with this. Pat Smith out of Turcot helps us put all this together. She also has now a whole big folder that I will get to Mary. I have it on OneDrive. It's way too big. I'm not going to put it on my computer. So it's huge. But I will get to Mary sometime. I'll have that also. But this is just for the mutual aid agreement for us to sign if possible, so that we could be qualified to go with the other towns to do this. This is going to every single town, so Franklin County, plus our three that borders us, Franklin, Plainfield, Cummington, and Leesburg. So it'll be all the same.
So there's 37 shelters.
Yeah, the big ones you need are the ones that probably never will get used at all. And the ones in the green have it for years. Yeah. The ones, the backup ones that are there, they all have them. Plus the regional shelters, as you see, Mohawk is southwest, Orange is east or something. But there's 5 main primary shelters for Lincoln County.
We're not one.
We're back. For Ashfield and Plainfield. In Ocean, if they wanted to come to Ashfield, they could. But so far, it's mainly Ashfield.
Do you remember one time we had a conversation that if something were to happen at Sanderson and we couldn't use Sanderson, we'd use the town hall?
We could use the town hall, that could be possible. That is, still in the back, rock and everything. If there was a major one, because we can't have food here, and we can't make food. So that would be a drawback too. We have to bring our shelter kit that's up the school down here.
I think we might have problems with electricity if we tried to cook here again.
Yes.
So actually,
For everybody to know, the electricity, the new generator that we have will run all that office, all the fire station completely. But it will not run this hall or there.
so actually just using it here would be like internal to the town if we quickly wanted to use it while we figure out where else we're going.
Right.
Because you probably want to go to one of the other backup.
We would probably want to go maybe more and be
So the-
closest to us.
This is the same agreement that all the other towns are signing.
Yes, and Dominic Nichols has seen this agreement and she has agreed with it.
Does this, besides the shelters, does it have any other effect on our mutual aid agreement?
No. Because we had the Tri-State Fire Mutual Aid Agreement with the fire department. The police have their Western Massachusetts Police Association agreement with theirs. So this is mainly for the shelters. To be able to have a shelter, and be able to.
Yeah, I have a question. This is proposed, right? What we're holding here is proposed.
Yes.
So if we needed to go to a shelter, this sector called Southwest, there's something that assigns Ashfield to go to Mohawk, I assume.
The Southwest would be, Southwest is for Ashfield and Cotton.
Okay, is there a map that designates?
Oh,
which
there is,
areas?
and the big one that,
Okay.
that I have a phone drive, and I'll bring it in, and I don't know who's to do it. I'll probably put it on the emergency management computer, because it is big.
Well, somehow we need to take this information and get it out there. And then these backups are if the primaries are either full or disabled, right, I assume. And so then Sanderson should be accessed by Ashfield and Plainfield. And so there must be another map for the backup classification.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
The only way right now that Sanderson can be activated is either myself or you people have to call the superintendent. And then the superintendent will call our new people, and they will authorize us to open up the shelter. And he's never even had an eyelash in this situation. So he's never been a problem. And we have to man, we cannot have any animals. That's ours. That something drastic happened during Irene, not Sanderson, but another somewhere. And a couple animals got in a fight and somebody got hurt getting the animals out. So, but we do have now, by law, our animal control officer has to be involved in this too. So he would be the one to take it.
Is that just Sanderson or Mohawk?
All regional, anything that's got anything to do with the school. I think there's one regional one that's not a school, but all the rest of them is new animals. We found that at the facility.
So actually, Sanderson would also be a shelter for Plainfield.
Yes,
Since they're a mutual aid.
Mutual aid group, it would be, and also the Goshen, if they felt they needed it here. Their shelter in Goshen is in the school in Chesterfield, wherever that's at, I'm not sure where that's at.
Handy.
Yeah,
It's handy.
yeah. Is it Andy?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm being facetious, if you gotta go from Goshen to Chesterfield.
Is there anything about using the shelters that has to be tied to a state of emergency, like we did in Irene, and we declared the state of emergency and then we use the shelter? Or it's using the shelter can be done for any reason, you don't need a state of emergency?
No, we don't need a state of emergency. It would be up to the emergency manager and the select board to say, okay, we need such shelter. It doesn't have to be in state of emergency. The thing in state of emergency, you're guaranteed a reimbursement.
The promise of reimbursement.
Yeah.
So, the no animals is the wrinkle. If I recall Irene and going back and forth with Sanderson, there were quite a few people that had pets.
We do have another place that we can put people here in Ashfield if they have, and if the lake is okay. And that is double-edged street. They have given us the okay to take people down there that have animals. And again, we got to be careful, lakes are like,
Right, I mean,
that's like the deadline to leak something like
the water can get high here.
But now with the animal control officer on board, he can help us out a lot on that also. So yes, I agree with you, had quite a time with that. If it's something that don't have to sign tonight, I like it. If it don't have to, as long as we get it signed, then more.
I mean, I don't believe so much.
I don't see anything in there that,
Just a quick question to Mary. Have you reviewed the insurance requirements? Are they standard for us? It says that to the extent that a community does not apply each participating municipality shall bear the liability for its own actions. And it says participating municipalities shall carry the following types of insurance in at least the limits specified below. And it's everything from workman's comp to automobile property damage liability. So
I have not checked that specifically against insurance. I assume it's probably standard, but no, I have not checked.
okay, they have like, each person, an aggregate, and different things in there. So
I think I gave you 2 copies I brought to the meeting. I can take the book and see if you have
if
it.
you did, I'd be okay with it.
That's right.
I just want to make sure that we carry what we're supposed to do.
We'll make sure that's the same. I almost think we got better.
Yeah. Does it say again?
property damage liability, $1 million each occurrence, $2 million aggregate.
Okay.
We talked about the town hall use permit, we were $1 million with $3 million aggregate. Automobile bodily injury, $1 million and $2 million. I'm sure that's.
We should go on that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know that the fire department has that.
and we have an overall,
How long would it take you to just run by those numbers? 5 seconds?
no.
Oh, I figured you had a certificate in there somewhere. You could just look at it.
Well, but I know that our envelope, our overall aggregate was $5 billion, I suppose.
The umbrella. Well, how about a motion? Since it asks for
Well, I
me to
think-
sign it, I want to give you the authority to sign it as soon as I get verified that the amount is started. You all right with that?
I'll make a motion that the select board authorize its chair to sign upon checking the insurance requirements of this contract, which is entitled the Franklin County Regional Shelter Plan, addendum to Western Massachusetts Intergovernmental Emergency Mutual Aid Agreement by and between the town of Ashfield and all other local governments that have signed this agreement.
Second.
So numbers,
The numbers aren't enough.
You'll bring it back. Or, they'll bring it back.
Any other discussion?
So you'll sign it when you're satisfied.
I'm satisfied. Okay. Guess I will do that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, so we got that. As soon as we verify that, Mary, then jingle my chain and we'll, I'll come in and sign it. And it'll be done. David Newell. We're supposed to have David tonight.
I didn't talk to David, but I did send him a copy of the agenda last week, drawing his attention to the fact that he was on.
Okay, let's move on to old business. Tonight, consider the Franklin County Rural Housing Authority and RDI letter requesting Town of Ashfield's Ashfield House LLC loan needs subordination, and the Finance Committee memo addressing that request. Finance Committee, you have, Ed, given us quite a few emails and so forth, talking about your discussion and your notes.
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
are you expecting any other members from the Finance
No.
Committee? I mean,
No.
I didn't want to take off like a team of wild horses.
No, we have not.
Three others were
We have
walking.
not filed notice of a meeting tonight of the Finance Committee, but I'm here largely just to field any questions you may have. In brief, and I tried to make this clear this afternoon, I hope it's not too late, but essentially we met 1 week ago to consider the request that was received about the refinancing of Ashfield House. And just to review, we looked at 4 different options about how the town might respond to the request. One was to recommend the subordination as requested. Second was to somehow recommend against the subordination. Third was to recommend that the town forgive the lien outright and simply say, let's be done with this because it seemed to us a remote possibility under the best of circumstances. And finally, the fourth option was to forgive the lien but seek some form of compensation for giving it up. And essentially what we did after discussion, aided I think by the presence of Joni Bernstein, who was there from the authority to help us with any factual issues that came up, we concluded with this motion, which we have forwarded on to you as our recommendation. And I'll quote it here, I think verbatim, it might be helpful as background. That rather than either obstruct the proposed modifications for Ashfield House being proposed by Ashfield House LLC, or simply agreeing to subordinate our lien per the request of June 28th, the Finance Committee recommends the Select Board seek to negotiate a 5-year payout of cash settlement of $30,000 in return for surrendering Ashfield's lien. In a sense, it was our judgment that we shouldn't try to hold up this intended refinancing because it seemed to us to be addressing a number of the issues that we thought we understood to be in the way of more successfully operating Ashfield House on the benefit of its tenants. On the other hand, to simply subordinate the loan without any consideration to us seemed a little bit inappropriate from a fiduciary responsibility. And certainly to give up the lien with no consideration seemed it would be somehow ignoring our fiduciary responsibilities as a town. So we felt that the appropriate thing was to see if we could figure out some way in which to negotiate a settlement, cash settlement, with the Housing Authority or Ashfield House LLC in return for giving up that lien so that they don't have to be concerned about us in our very subordinated position any further, and that we get some small consideration in exchange for giving this lien up. So if you have further questions, we'd be happy to have them, but that's essentially what we've offered up as a recommendation.
Ricky, do you have anything to add? And I take it you were one of the three that voted. You were at that meeting.
That was pretty much it. It was a good summary of what we talked about.
I did notice, not on the agenda tonight, that Robin Sherman is here. And
I'm here and I'm also brought Joe Bernstein, who's the Assistant Executive Director of the Housing Authority, and is involved with acquisition and development of Ashfield House, and David Singer sitting next to me, who represents RDI legal real estate issues.
Singer of Greenfield fame, right? You ever see him?
President of the town council.
Amen. All right. Paulette, we got Robin's letter before of what she was looking for this. I mean, what's your position on this subordination?
I'm glad the finance committee came up with a recommendation. I'm just uncomfortable putting that in place by the select board. I would think we need to take something like that to the town to have them offer their opinion, because it's a substantial sum on the deed. So I don't know how to sort of do both pieces to get them their subordination, as well as keep the door open, that it might take time to work out for the town to agree to accept this money.
Well, I understand. I understand that position. Ron?
Well, I guess I'm in receipt of this letter by Rural Development Inc. And what they're asking for, from a business point of view, makes sense to me. If I think of it logically, their average loss since 2008 was something like $17,000 a year. The interest they could get on refinancing and getting Greenfield Co-op out of there at 6.5% is $12,000 a year. So from a business point of view, it kind of makes sense. Anyone who has a house would consider the same sort of thing. I appreciate what the
Have several times.
You're right. I appreciate what the finance committee has done. I think it's a reasonable motion. On the other hand, by subordinating as requested, you're taking a secured note and making it a less secure, still a secured note, but at a different place on the chain. So I guess since we're discussing this letter and this is on the agenda, I'd be curious to ask Robin what she thinks of the FinCom recommendation, see if there's any movement there, any potential of a 5-year buyout of that sort of thing, and what we decide to do from there will depend on her answer, if she's comfortable answering that.
My position on it is really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. As far as the subordination, or even cashing out at a discounted rate, the subordination certainly to address Paulette. I mean, I'm one of the first ones to say, we can always take this to the town, take it to the town meeting floor. But we're working with a subordinated position now that didn't have to go to the town meeting vote. And that certainly we have the authority to do that. And thinking about it, we're not, if we do subordinate and the bank gets out of the way, we still have our same position. Nobody, there's not extra people in front of us, it's just the links of the chain are long. We're in the same position in line, it's just that people aren't standing so close together, right, because the number of dollars. I think Ted, in his explanation, hit it right on the head, is to make a recommendation that reflects some fiduciary responsibility, is exactly what the finance committee is supposed to do. I personally think that this lien isn't worth the powder to blow it to hell. I mean, it's going to be, it's so far down the chain now, and if they don't get refinanced, it'll become almost impossible to get any money for the town back on it. And so I'm all for moving forward to get, so they can get their work done and we can get this going one way or the other. But Robin, do you have, certainly you've thought about it, we forwarded this on to you, what the finance committee came with, so.
We really appreciate the spirit of the finance committee recommendation in not wanting to obstruct the refinancing, which is really critical to the continued stability of this property. I certainly understand and respect the spirit behind looking for some compensation if the town is willing to consider giving up its lien. RDI is really not in a position to pay $30,000 over a 5-year period. The purpose behind the refinancing is to get the project on a stable footing, going from a very negative position where we're losing money every year to being able to put substantial sums of money into the reserve account for this property so that once we're done making the energy improvements and painting the building, we can start to build up big reserves so that when the roof needs to be replaced, we'll have the money to replace the roof. We won't have to come to anybody to ask us for help with that. When it comes time to paint the building again, we'll have the money to paint the building. If there are windows that need to be replaced, we'll be able to replace the windows. So any commitment to continue to, pay another loan in the future is going to make it more difficult to do the things that we need to do with the building. I have thought about the finance committee's recommendation to want some financial compensation if the town were to consider giving up the lien. I had a very informal discussion with members of the board about what they thought of RDI's board, about what they thought we could do. Well, we realized it would be a very small payment. We could come up with a payment of $5,000 up front in exchange for forgiveness of the lien, but if the finance committee or the board of selectmen were not comfortable with that, we would just ask you to be willing to subordinate the lien so that we could go forward with the refinancing and the improvements.
Well, just to be clear, the last time that the group that is going forward with the financing is RDI.
That's correct.
I would like to see you be successful.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Mr. Perlman, since your name is on the last subordination, I'll give you a little time on the floor.
Thank you. The last subordination was the second attempt that the select board made to have the building sold. The first one was involving Senator Kennedy's office, who was promising to come up with federal money, and we got pretty far along the way, and then the owner of the building backed out of that. Some years later, this deal came about, and we worked extremely hard for many months to make this possible. It was never a good deal for anybody. It was, and RDI really did the town and the owner a favor by entering into the agreement and taking over the property. We had a long discussion at the time as to whether to forgive the loan or to subordinate it. We felt at that time that politically it would be better to subordinate the loan. But this, a number of factors, I think, play into the position that I have is to just forgive it. One is its age. Mr. Carter, I think you were on the board when the last payment by the former owner was made. And you and your other board members gave her a very generous agreement so that she would not have to make any other payments against this money until she showed a profit. That was well over 20 years ago. In fact, the money that is in question came from the federal government. It was never the town's. It was not as if the town loaned the money out and got it back. So the town is not out anything. RDI has, like every other state agency and anybody else who are funded by state and federal funds in this day and age, are operating on shoestrings. As we all know, there have been cuts everywhere. And to try to get back $30,000 over 5 years in light of a $300,000 loan that's over 20 years old, to me is just nickel and diming, and just saying we ought to get something. The only other factor involved is we have probably, members of the town, some of elected board members and former elected board members have probably already cost RDI $20,000 or $30,000 in dealing with that building, and so this $30,000 would be adding insult to injury, I think. And if I were you, I would write the loan off, get the town out of the business of having anything to do with the Ashfield house, and just put it to sleep. It's old, it's tired, and it needs to go away.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Yeah, Robin, is a little bit of horse trading, or, 35, 10, 10?
No, 5 is what we can, RDI is already putting a substantial amount of cash into this deal to make it work and to leverage the state funding, so the 5 is in addition to that. That's what we can do.
I guess my position would be is, we could distribute it at any time, and you have a crunch to get furnaces, boilers, some heating system in place. My position would be to just support it. We can come back to forgive it anytime we want to the town, do whatever, but that would get them on their way to getting their money and getting their part. You've got work to be done before we let it support.
I understand your position. I want to expand a little bit on a different twist, as Mr. Crowan and I often do, have slightly different opinions on these things. But it's true that, it was never town money that was put in here. I mean, it went from the federal government to the Corbett's, and they made the improvements. And even though it wasn't our money, and to be thinking that the town hasn't got something from it would be a mistake. Because what we've got is we've got this big, beautiful apartment building, a historic site, in the middle of Ashfield, that without the financing, without the grant and so forth, who knows what type of decay it could have been in. From its prior use, it needed a lot of help to get to the state that it's in now. So to think that the town hasn't received anything, it's just not right. It's just not correct. I mean, it has been apartments for a lot of people in the past, a lot of really good things in the town of Ashfield and have added to what Main Street is. Mr. Murray?
Well, just to comment on what's been offered, I should also, I think, indicate that when the Finance Committee met, we did discuss a number of figures that might be used in terms of compensation for giving up our lien. And I have to acknowledge that there is nothing particularly formulaic about the $30,000. In fact, the fact that we came up with a 5-year payout suggestion was simply to figure out a way in which we thought we might, if the resources were available to some extent, whether it was $30,000 or $20,000 or $25,000, if we could spread that over a number of years, we could make it more affordable for the housing LLC. Thinking that perhaps some of these improvements that they would be able to finance with the refinancing terms might pay in terms of efficiencies the kind of monies that with savings they could pay us over a period of time. Absent sufficient funds for this, however, I don't know but that some compensation, whether it be the $5,000 offered or something else, might be a suitable way to simply say we give up the lien, we get some compensation, albeit smaller than what we had first talked about, and we kind of take this problem off the books once and for all. And it strikes me that if they can go ahead with the financing, which it sounds to me as though they have it well lined up, then there's a real prospect for the Ashfield house coming on to more favorable terms long term. Although again, it's always, it seems to me, even projecting into the future, going to be a fairly tight business to operate successfully with vacancy rates such as they are and the kind of cost escalation that you have with utilities and so on to make that work. But it seems to me that the Housing Authority is doing a creditable job of trying to run this effectively on behalf of our tenants there. So my sense is that if there's some compensation that would be offered up, it may well be worth taking. I speak for myself only, not the committee.
Well, my position, hey, subordinate it, let it move forward, get some cash and forgive it. As long as it moves forward, that's my issue. So I guess I'm coming back to your idea, Paulette, we could always go back to talk about forgiving it later.
And include the town, because it's just us. Because it's a fairly big number, and I think that's a greater than people said, gee, you didn't tell us about that. I'm sure people would rather be involved than just to hear, oh, we just don't know. So, more informed people, no matter how many show up, do a special time meeting, all the time meeting. So, yes, subordinate it, discuss what else to do with it.
Well, you notice that I'm very proficient at trying to scratch things off my list. And I can't, and I certainly can't argue with you about town meeting. Because I really do feel town meeting is the final arbiter of all these types of things. Although I do not recall that the town ever voted to participate in the program. It was probably just the Board of Selectmen. But I guess my question was, if your answer to me is town meeting, there certainly isn't a whole lot that I can argue with on that. I was just wondering if you had any idea that things would improve, that there would be a time when we go, that this is the time to take this up. Because if it's town meeting, we could schedule it. We could say, annual town meeting next May, let's put this on that we want to get rid of.
But from the information Robert's provided, it doesn't sound like she sees a way, unless I'm misunderstood, to pay any money to the town in terms of forgiveness. Would you say something like this?
I had an informal conversation with the board after we got the finance committee
So I'm still at the same place, because we could entertain that as a account. Either bringing it up or forgive it.
Well, they wouldn't have a need to do that.
They might want it, but if we get it wrong, that probably changes it.
There certainly
They don't.
would be an urgent
No,
to cough up $5,000 if they've already got the finance. That's my,
it's just, it's not like the 30,000, so it's not that tempting for me to make it.
it's 6 times smaller than 30,000. Long way to go.
I think I'm really right in the middle, but I'm leaning toward the idea of taking Robin up on this, what I understand to be a one-time offer. I don't believe that if we schedule a town meeting at some point and everyone, agreed to forgive it outright, that you would come with a check thereafter. It's kind of, take it or leave it, deal right now.
I'm not going to preclude coming back and having a conversation with the town about forgiveness. What is important to us at this point in time is being able to move forward with the refinance.
So,
We would be delighted to be rid of the lien, but if you are not prepared to move forward at this point in time for what we're able to offer, we would be very grateful if you would agree to subordinate to the refinancing so that we can move forward.
I just have a feeling we kick the can down the road too long. Every select board does it politically correct. Thing, it's not an asset with that. It is not an asset. We have a position on this lien, and part of me says we should. I mean, it's when you look at the equity of the whole thing, it makes no sense to me. Financially, if this was my company, I'd say write it off, get it off the books, get it off the sheet. I don't want to be involved with that. So I'm really leaning towards taking the $5,000 and being done with it. Previous select boards have done it.
Previous select boards haven't done it. I think that they
No, but they've made decisions.
they've subordinated
Right.
it and
I'd go either way. I really could. I'm entertained by the idea of the $5,000 and cleaning up our books this way, because it's so far down. It's crazy.
Ricky.
Not as a finance committee member, but just as.
Oh, then I only asked for your opinion.
I-
Because you're a finance committee.
I'm hearing a lot of different talks all around, and I really think that politically, it would be better to involve the town before you made a decision like this, and it doesn't hurt to put it off. So it seems to make some sense to just subordinate now and bring it to the town, and maybe with a decision by the select board to say, at the town meeting, we're gonna decide on this one way or another.
Great minds run on the same channel. I'll make a motion that the board of selectmen agree to subordinate, what did I say, selectmen? Oh my God. That's 30 lashes, 70 for the merit. That the select board agree to move forward to subordinate our lien situation so that the Ashfield House LLC can gain its refinancing, and that we also agree that at the annual town meeting in May of 2014, that we put a warrant article on there about, in some fashion, forgiving the lien, or releasing our lien on that property.
Is that specific, or just we put something on that we will discuss what that is?
I want it to be that specific. That would be the discussion. I don't know what other discussion there could be. Of course, the select board could decide that we need to modify that later, but that's my feeling right now, is that that's what we're discussing.
Well, I was saying just because she said she was, if we could discuss it later, and it came back, that they
if I was to make a choice on the two, I'd probably, his motion doesn't include the financial necessarily.
We need that to go out.
Right. So I think it's okay. I really do. But,
You get second. But if you don't second it, it's dead in the water.
I just want to make sure that we haven't locked it down to change the warrant, that we haven't set the language, that we can't then have a conversation and say, okay, we will put them on the warrant to have the town vote. And they, let's say, give $5,000 and, you know, we will get to it. I don't want to conclude that from being a possibility. By the language.
Lynn, will you read back to me what you have?
Partner.
Select board, not select men.
Yes, I do have to select one. Agree to the order to swear the name of such people.
Can't hear you, Lynn, I'm sorry.
Can be moved forward and have a little article on the town meeting report to make decision about the building.
and the second half, oh, the, oh, no.
Okay, give them along.
I'll second it, just get it on the table. Just to
I mean,
get-
I'm not afraid to go to town meeting with any of these.
Right. So,
So you're going to second?
there's your second.
So what portion of that is,
Just
you think it was too specific?
that it seems to set the language of the possibility is to forgive the deed, and I would like it to be a little bit broader, that we would present a warrant regarding the deed. So we haven't worked out the details here tonight. Maybe it says we're forgiving it for $5,000, if they're still in a position to do that, to make it go.
I really think that includes it, but I am thinking that maybe instead of saying forgiving, I would almost think I could stand replacing that with releasing. You know, forgiving is maybe up front, showing too many cards. That, do you accept that as a final? So, about releasing the
That we should go over and have some different terms of it, say,
I'll leave it open enough to create any more breeze than that fan. Is that fan, I hope, is doing somebody some good.
It's fabulous.
Because it isn't doing much for me.
There's more people right there that don't know.
It's nice,
Any
man.
other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome very much. I can cross it off this list and put it on another list for town meeting time.
How does that happen, Robin? Do we have to sign something?
Pardon me?
Are we
Well,
done?
we'll follow up. We have the vote and we'll ask you to sign once we have the legal document.
Once you have the documents, they'll be.
Yes. It'll be, I would expect it will be an agreement very similar to what we signed last time, correct?
The baby is.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Still no data bill. Fiscal year 14 appointments, including 2 new cultural council appointments.
That's one we were going to put there, we'll get that. Or something else on there, I have to go check Square and original. There are 2 cultural council appointments you can do now, and I'll have to go back and retrieve.
I don't think these appointments for the cultural council are an emergency. We can get through the rest of our agenda.
Okay.
It'll leave us for something for 2 weeks.
Okay.
We don't know the names.
Started walking out.
Do you have the names?
Sorry.
We don't have the names.
Oh, we do have the names for that, but I was also going to bring back the
Other
town
appointments?
clerk's appointments that we have gotten.
Why don't we handle it as a package?
I don't know when they're meeting, maybe they would appreciate the cultural council wanting to be able to meet between now and the meeting first.
Maybe we're supposed to meet. two mentions of it, there are. You have the names for the cultural council, maybe we could
I
take
do,
those up.
I do. It's Roberta Evans and David Fessenden.
And the other members on that committee?
The chair is Dawn Fessenden, and I will have to get the appointments registered tomorrow.
So again, that's Roberta Evans and
David Fessenden. And other appointments, and then chair, if it's supposed to be something else. And I think it's 3 years. It's, I moved it, it was what, cultural council?
Yes.
Yes. I moved it to appoint Robert Evans and David Fessenden. Did you say
Dave-
Roberta? Oh, I'm sorry.
Roberta.
I forgot an A, I beg your pardon. Roberta Evans and David Fessenden to the cultural council, 1-year appointments.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous.
Yeah, they are 3-year terms, right? That's what you're looking for.
Are they 3-year terms?
So we just voted on the 1 year.
Well, you seconded, did you accept the 3-year?
Yes, I would.
Yes,
Okay, we're all in agreement.
3 years.
All right, under old business, select board member Paulette Lucart's response to the select board ethics issue raised by select board member Ron Kohler at our July 1st meeting.
I'm referring to this memorandum from last.
Okay.
Okay. I'm giving this a lot of thought. Ron, it's approximately 5 times now that you have used the technique, what I would call character assassination against me, by writing documents, by either verbal, several written, passing them on to other agencies, and it's a weapon you're using against me. Number 2, you contained in this document a veiled threat. Does not sit well. I will continue to fight for the rights and defend citizens of this town in any way I see fit, and I will do what I think is best for this town. I'm not there. I have no conflict of interest. I have not had one in the past, I do not have one now, and I don't anticipate having one in the future. It is very odd to me, and I wonder why people are reporting to you what I do in this town, in my car or otherwise. Quite frankly, it's rather creepy. It is creepy. As far as the HRA is concerned, I talked about a document that when I read it aloud, Robin Sherman said it was false. It was on the letterhead of the housing authority. It was signed. It was sent to her. I pointed it out. People who come before us asking for something, they should expect some tough questions. They should expect that we're going to probe, that we are going to point out something. And I'm really bewildered, as many times as we've met since then, that both of you at different times have been more concerned about a tone than false statements and documents from agencies that were involved. I, once again, will say, I am going to do what I think is best for Because any citizen that comes to me, asks for help, I will help to defend their rights, and I will do what I think is best for the town. This memorandum that Ron presented, he put at your feet. I see two options. Yes, he's directed it to you. And there are two options. One, you make a motion and you send this off to the Ethics Commission. The other is motion to rescind it. It comes out of the drafts. It gets shredded. It ceases to exist, and it comes out of the minutes.
Paulette, you're pretty good at taking information that I give to the street and reducing it to sound bites that look good for an audience. Because you use those sound bites, I now have to, I see the press is here, I am going to hand out public information, just the first page, 2 pages, it's double-sided, of the memorandum. Pass that around, appreciate it. Thank you for your response. It's not what I want to hear, it's what I expected to hear. I will tell you that in Appendix B, for the Town of Ashfield's personnel policy and procedures, which I trust that you are very, very familiar with, under the whistleblower policy, it says, Ashfield encourages the reporting of improper governmental action by any town officer or employees and reporting of retaliatory actions for such reporting. It also goes on to say that town employees who fail to make a good faith attempt to follow this policy in reporting improper governmental action shall not receive protections provided under this policy or the Act. In the past, I've gone to the state agencies, the Attorney General, etc., because I was defending myself. I felt I was defending myself, my character, and my reputation. And that was never read aloud. It was simply a defense mechanism for myself to go on the record. As we all know, the AG did not agree with me on that. And the matter's at rest for the moment anyways. However, what you did here just doesn't feel right. And when I go further, when I wrote this memo, I had no knowledge that you sent out an email on the day that you talked kind of aggressively to Robin, to the reps also. So this just supports more of the same. And it says, I will withhold my detailed comments concerning Ms. Nicholson's email. It concerns me greatly. Please respond. This is to all 4 representatives at the state level. As you can see, there are a multitude of defined improprieties and serious problems concerning this property. My God, we're attacking a business in town and we're hanging them up on the cross. And you're doing that without the benefit of this table. So, I'm not in favor of your thumbs up or thumbs down motion. This is incumbent on me alone to make a decision. I'm not one to make a rash decision. I have to think about your response. I have to go home and mull it over for a week or 2, and then I'll do what I feel is appropriate. Just as my memo says, I came to just this board. If I can't talk to the 2 of you and understand what's going on and what's been going on for years regarding the Ashfield house and your sense of personal involvement there, and you don't file any public disclosure on that, then I'm left little quick. And that's not fair to other members on this board. So thank you for your response. I'll mull it over.
I do not want this to stand this evening the way it is. Tom, you need to make a decision. Make a motion, please. Send this on to the Ethics Commission, and let's get an answer back. I do not have a conflict of interest. And
Well,
should get an
I'll
answer.
tell you where I'm at. I'll tell you where I'm
Send
at.
this
Is that we've been over 5 months. And it seems like, maybe once in a month we get through a meeting that, that we don't get all tied up in knots about the Ashfield House. But that's for some reason, it just never gets on the agenda. But every time something on the Ashfield House comes up, we get tied up in knots, and there certainly are differences of opinion of where we should be. But what I've noticed between the two of you that wears me out, quite honestly, is the tit for tat going on. And it's not just amongst the board. We see it in all the open meeting law violations and all the rest of it, that it's just a tit for tat type deal that doesn't do anybody any good. And what I encourage both of you to do is, Paulette, when you say, I'm going to go to the Attorney General, or I'm going to do this sort of thing, do it. Ron, when you're saying, I can go to the Ethics Commission with this, please do it. Because it does a lot of things. The most important thing to me is it gets it off our agenda. It becomes somebody else's decision to make. And I would much rather be talking about getting the town hall painted, getting the roads fixed, getting the solar credits done, doing all these other projects that the people that do a lot of the people that in this town really care about that gets done in an organized manner. So, you go to the Attorney General, go to the Attorney General, seek relief wherever you think is appropriate to seek it. Ron, you do the same. And I don't think, as far as backing out and shredding all of this, that's like saying we're going to rewrite the Bible. We have to keep accurate minutes, and this was passed out as part of the document list on those minutes. And I'm not going to do that. Certainly, we could get accused of omitting something that shouldn't have been omitted from the minutes. We've already been over that hurdle. So, Ron has a problem, he submitted it. As far as having it in writing, I think that was a wonderful idea. This didn't come up until 10:30 at night, and none of us were in the humor, I certainly wasn't in the humor to go over it and digest it at that time. So I had time to do that. But this bickering back and forth it simply wears me out, and I think it wears out a lot of people in this town that do the living and dying and taxpaying.
Well, I ask you to read the law resolution because it precludes bringing lots of things before this board. If it's not this board's business, it's not supposed to be here.
Point of information, there's no such thing as a Ron's resolution, which has been quoted 100 times. It's a former select board's resolution.
It was you and Doug. It was not.
That's the former select board.
I did not vote for it. I protested against it.
That's what I gathered. That's what I gathered from the discussion.
I think it was shutting off citizens of the town from coming before us. So anyway.
So no,
I did tell you on July 1st that I would no longer put select board under my name of anything I forwarded, because those documents were not select board documents per se. They were written by somebody else, and I did not put select board under my name. And as a citizen, I have rights.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, you have rights.
But I am. This is just about the 5th time with character assassination from Ron. And he did. He called me a liar when he wrote last year.
If you want, I would read that one to you too. I wouldn't take up the time that this meeting can do. It's ridiculous.
I think I'm not going to be forced into an agreement or a position where I have to make a decision on something that seems to be a non-issue. To me, it's a non-issue. And I really encourage either of you, if you need relief from the outside, if you feel that there is somebody at the state that can close this up, for either one of you, please go there. Because I am more than happy to get it off of our desk and we can carry on with our other business, so. I think we've addressed this on the agenda.
So are you saying you agree with this then? Because you're not taking a position? Is that what you're basically saying, when you put it at your feet?
I don't know that it's up to me to agree. It was a memo that he sent to me to agree or disagree. It's not up to me that he sent that memo and has an issue that he wants remedied. And I think the night that he brought it, I know the night that he brought it, that he said he wanted to have a dialogue to try to remedy these types of situations. I mean, let's face it, this all came up because I brought it up. Right? I brought it up because I got forwarded the email with the whole strings, and I just felt it was odd for Paulette Lucar to bring to us at 10:30 at night an email, and a printed out email, and didn't mention to us that 8 hours earlier or 10 hours earlier that you had forwarded that to the legislative body. Do I really have a problem with that? No. I don't have a problem with that, and that's what if the legislators are doing something for us, I'm all right with it. But I did find it odd that when so much effort seems to be spent on everything being open and transparent, and as a member of the select board that you didn't share that with us, I felt that was more than odd. As far as making a big stink about it, I probably wouldn't make a big stink about it. I would probably be more apt keep it in my back pocket so I could bring it up at some other time. It is what it is. And Ron obviously had a problem. He brought it to us. You're having some kind of dialogue now that's not suiting either of you. And it's not going to get any better until in my opinion, until somebody else makes a judgment call on it. But, yeah, it's not up to me to make a decision on where it goes from here. All right, new business. Fiscal year 14 pay rates. We just signed the payroll warrants for fiscal 14. There was a couple of questions when that warrant was put together that we discussed during the budget, but I'm not sure that we made a formal decision on it. One of them was the very low pay rate for the town hall custodian. And in our budget discussions, we had talked about at least getting her up to the same rate comparable as what the custodian in the Belgian library is, which is $16 and change. So she was at $12. So the call was made when they were doing the warrants, and I made that call. That is what I recall. We can adjust that, but I think it's important that the board.
And she only works like 4 hours a week or something.
It's not even just 4 hours every week, I don't think.
And a half,
I mean, it depends on what's going on. Certainly, there's more work to do after the fall festival than there is any other time. So, is there any issue with that, or do we need to? Well, and we rolled that into the budget. I mean, my recollection is when we did the town hall budget, we had higher rates.
My question is, I would do this the same. I think Sherry, who's over there?
Sherry Scott.
Sherry Scott. Also, I see the 100 desks. So,
She has different rates for different positions.
oh, she does.
That's what I
So
heard.
that's her janitorial rate, the 16?
Right, which is higher than we.
So that was my only concern, was that was taken.
Actually, her rate currently is higher than that, I think $16.95 or something. So even though there's been discussion about parity, well.
It's not exactly parity, but you would gather information from the building committee.
Yes.
Where to go with that. So the current rate is 16.22.
1625, I believe. Fiscal year 14.
I didn't want it to just slide, I wanted us to discuss it.
Town hall maintenance custodians rate has gone to 1625. Building, library, the rate was at 1665 plus the 2%.
So it's about 17. I know Don is pleased as punch to be 1625.
So that was the biggest payroll already, so
Appropriate to ask for a motion as we just vote on that to
Suggest we get down on pay raise from $12 to $16.25, effective last week for this fiscal year.
fiscal year 14. Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. And, all right, the other thing is that the corporal, remember, when we went through the police deal, we wanted a $1.20 premium over the other reserve officers, $1.20 an hour. And did we adjust that rate this payroll? Yes. I wanted to make sure we were still, did we adjust that or no?
She did not turn in the time cards, there was nothing for the corporate this last week.
For this fiscal year?
You did have the new rate.
I did, there was nothing for that.
But we agreed to that before the police budget got pared down at town meeting. Has there been any discussion with the chief about that? I mean, it seems though we made a motion. I remember we made a motion to do that. And I just wanted to confirm that that still stands. That $1.20 premium over the other reserve officers. Have you talked to him? Have you talked to him, Mayor? What do you think?
In line with it?
He was in favor of getting the premium for duties. However, he had, when I talked to him, did not know how that was going to play a work overall with the reduced expenses, but it was reduced at town hall for
$5,000.
roughly speaking, I think we were talking about that it meant over the course of the year approximately $1,000. Because it's a maximum of years,
Mr. Murray?
Are you talking about the premium offered to the corporal?
Yes.
It was agreed in the budget discussions that the premium would be granted as opposed to another amount that was being proposed as a stipend. Separately, it was agreed that there would be a 2% increase for reserve officers, and the deduction that was effected at annual town meeting pertained only to the incremental 7 hours being proposed per week for new reserve officer time. So I don't think any of those pay rates should be offset or adversely affected by the decrease at annual town meeting. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but that's my recollection.
That's my recollection also, but I just was wondering what I wanted to make sure those were brought to my attention. I wanted to make sure that the board was still on this. We got already seen that. That's all I have. Huh? No, it's always good. It's like trying to take another $74,000 from here. New business, open meeting law. I don't know if it's in our folder. I don't believe it is. I believe we all got emails on it. An open meeting law complaint, response to Suzanne Corbett. Since that came in and I knew the clock was ticking right away, I And since it reads pretty much identical to, maybe not identical, but very similar to the one that we got the week before that we sent to Donna, I had Mary do the same thing with that.
With the same instructions. I would still say that we could fix the meeting January 16th by noting it, by putting in text for each news appointment that was on the agenda, and we'll be happy to listen to the recording, and we could amend it and save the expense of sending it to town council and fix that segment.
So noted. Anything for you to add on?
No,
or-
I think that was the appropriate action to take. Do you feel more comfortable with the motion on that, or you okay?
I'm okay with that.
I think we should do this.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we handle this open meeting law complaint from Suzanne Corbett, dated July 9th, 2015. That we handle it the same way that we did the previous one, by getting both an extension and having Mary work with town council since the issues are similar.
Second. Any other discussion? Above and beyond what you already
Saving the
stated?
expense, no?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
2 to 1, motion carries. Okay, we have to accept a letter of resignation. And I saw this, it was addressed to the town clerk. The town clerk has given us instructions that it doesn't really happen until the select board accepts it for our date to her. It says kindly dated July 1st. Madam Clerk, kindly accept this letter as notice that I am resigning my appointment to the Ashfield Personnel Board effective immediately. Thank you for your anticipated assistance. So I will make the motion that we accept Mr. Gilbert's resignation with regret.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. I don't have to sign anything on that. Although, I would like to send a little note saying thank you for all the work and, getting up the personnel board and all the work that was done on that. I think that was, all right, we could send a little note.
Absolutely.
Very cool. We need to have something else. I think that would be. You find time. It's not a timed event, man. Okay, now we got to schedule, now we get into the real good stuff. Let's schedule 3 poll hearings. They're all on Ludwig Road.
They are, and once they came in, they have to Tom, was that?
Any ideas? Any ideas?
But I can tell you, need to know his response in order to schedule it today, so we'll get back to work.
Well, they're all on Ludwig Road, Ludwig is the past 3 envelopes. Because we're the public utility. Yeah, how do you want to handle them? Petition for Verizon, this is for Verizon Ludwig Road. Place 14 jointly owned poles on the southeasterly side of Ludwig Road. like somebody's getting, we want to talk about wired west, right? Williamsburg Road. So this is Williamsburg Road.
The redoing all the electrical going out that road, is that what that's about?
14 poles, I didn't. Ludwig Road is the one that goes up the backside of the VAI. Oh. Ludwig Road goes from Williamsburg Road to West Road.
So there's only one existing pole. So this is the one on the road.
Like the power comes in off of West Road and comes in. And then they probably want to go back up.
I think the other pictures are continuing, you know, like this is the first, last, second, and third.
I mean, if they're putting 14 poles, I'm trying to think how many houses, there must only be like 5 houses on that road. Huh?
Williams up there.
Sorry, yeah. This is Ludwig Road and West Road, making that. I think we went back and we figured it out, that they pulled a big service in there when Loomis's milk cows up there. I think Russ got that done. Years ago. And I think that's how they just decided. So let's see what this one. Maybe it brings it all the way down to Perimeter Road for all we know. Oh no, Ludwig Branch, it takes in some new poles. So there's quite a few butters, I mean, there's probably half a dozen butters, so we probably do. All right, do you want to take this up? But they need 2 weeks to notify everybody?
Actually, it's not for 2 weeks, if you want to set, if you want to set it for the 31st, I can send those out tomorrow.
I'll do that right at 7 o'clock. I'm not going to promise these people at 6:30. We can do it right at 7.
At the opening of the meeting, usually what I've done is just a posting question, is posted a whole hearing on top of the posting for the meeting. I posted just first in the meeting, or start the meeting, and just
At 7:15, how about that? We can get our seats warmed up and we can sign the warrants, maybe we can get that done and then we can do the poll hearing.
So we're going to do the meeting. Yeah, that's fine.
so a free phone hearing is at 7.
Is there a motion to do that?
Is it 7 or 7:15?
Mayor's saying something different.
No, I felt that the phone hearings are at 7 and the select board votes to start at 7:15.
We have to select the starting at 7.
Second. Let's do it 7 o'clock and then we'll start our select board meeting immediately thereafter. And run both over the same. Need a motion on that? We're good, we're in agreement. All right, that was easy. Liaison, no David, still no David.
1 minutes too. You got 2 of them.
Yeah, let's do minutes, let's not fall behind any more than we have, but I still have written those notes on Saturday. There you go. take up the, June 24th minutes. Got what you got? I don't have July 1st and July 8th.
Here you go.
Did I bury them? I can't believe that. Oh, there they are. I found them. All right. So let's go ahead with, we'll take them in order there, July 1st.
I'll jump in. That's bad. I have only a few on this one. New business is spelled wrong. Unless I have an outdated copy or something. I'm sorry. Under, I have two slight comments under the last paragraph on page 3. Where I refer to the third line down to Robin Sherman at a meeting. That was on the 24th, not the 25th. 6/24. And you have that? When the second to the last line, after the word document 14, there are the words implying gender bias, and I inserted implying gender and class bias. Those words were in my mind, so I went back and listened to the recording, and what the letter says, which I have a copy of the letter also, says local officials have conspired to remove the rights of a class of citizens based on their receipt of public assistance. So I think it's important to get that in there. Just a class. That was it. And other than the standard, amended minutes at the end and the dated thing. That's round.
It's not very often I have any, but since we're right in that neighborhood, document 14, I don't think it's necessarily fair. Before that, at the front end of that, where it says Lucart fires back, I think it should just be Lucart replies. The rest of it, I didn't have any problem.
I have a question. It says Carter Nicola would like a copy of the statement emailed to them. Did you receive that?
I did actually.
Did you receive that?
I think I'm not sure it was emailed or you needed an outcall, but I have a copy of it.
I think I only had two that night. I had one and I gave one as a document.
You gave them? No,
No, I did. I only had two.
I ended up
Yes,
with
I did. I did get it.
Okay. My concern is last week you made a small statement about where you really want to receive email. And if it was sent to the select board, I never got it. So I don't know how you two got it, if you're using the select board at Ashfield.org as the email.
I think because I know you had it, I sent it to each of your individual emails because those two letters to the server because they come from there.
Yeah. And I wasn't talking about receiving when I made that statement last week. I was trying to manage people's expectations about that I wouldn't reply to.
It's just, it can't be two ways. You were making a point to say use the select board at Ashfield.org, and this went some other way, so I'm trying to find out, are you going in multiple directions, or are you going to stick with one? Because if it went to the select board, I would have received a copy as well.
Well, I didn't send it, but I did receive it.
And keeping in mind what you had said, I'll stop and thought about it, but anything I send is always to the server. Whereas I think the issue is what Len had sent you had not gone through the server, so there was no public record. Is that right? So anything I send out from here, whether it's to individual email addresses or the email, it is part of the captured as part of the record.
My statement last week was to manage your expectations and everybody else's, that you can send me anything you want, but to expect a reply on town business, and it's not gonna happen if it doesn't come through the select.
I would prefer it to the select board, because then I would know you would receive it. Because I would have received it also, and I know that would have accomplished it. That's what I'd like to see in the future.
Any other amendments?
See the dates.
I think we have so many documents that we put a number to them all.
The only always I'm a little concerned about is our discussion with Alan Rice. But that document is in there. We went down line by line, but there's no record of sort of what we thought about those different topics. And I suppose given it's a first pass, but it tells people we did something, the document doesn't show what we did as we look through our discussion. So it would be better to have at least a few comments about each of those. I don't have anything here for that.
Yeah, I guess when we walk through that document, and that is on the list, right? Is that I felt that we were reviewing that and trying to have some, as much as I hate the word brainstorming, but to talk about what the background was on it, because we're supposed to get back to Alan with that. So I think when it gets finalized and we are able to share some thoughts with him, I would think that would, in that set of minutes, would make it clear.
Okay.
Alright? Anything else?
Make the motion to accept the July 1st, 2013 select board minutes as amended.
Adding the draft to the document list and filling out a little footnote at the bottom. Second? I'll second it. Any other discussion on the minutes? Are we prepared to vote? I see you're still reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are accepted. Let's go to July 8th minutes. We change fiscal years, we get different type here. Are you trying to change this up a little bit?
New computer. Okay.
But I like the format from July 1, the 3 lines. It's back.
I would encourage you to make this one go back that way too, if you can. I mean, that's easy to do, right? Select all, so that's fine. Okay, it's fine. If it's too difficult, then I have a bunch of little syntaxy type stuff. Did I tell you anything?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay, under your, because I noticed you got your new computer there, but there's no date on the select board minutes, and you had that underlined, and in the previous one it's not. So just to be consistent, if you look at Town of Ashfield Select Board meeting minutes, it's not underlined, and there's a date under it. Confused?
Yeah. Where are you? Look at
Right at the
July
top.
1. Yeah. Compare the top of the two.
Very top.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to run along with it?
Well, it hasn't been for a while, so you're switching it out. I mean, if it's a new look, you should be a little more acceptable. No, I like the way you did it. It's kind of a standard way, and I'm willing to change, but you just gotta tell me the changes.
No,
No.
that's fine.
Okay. And it's missing a date underneath it. July 8th.
Right.
Just a small thing.
Oh, it should be meeting minutes.
What's that? Oh, select
Select board
board.
minutes, select board meeting.
Oh, meeting. minutes. Yeah, there you go.
I put that all as changed in my phone.
Beside my name, vice chair. It's spelled a little crazy. It's a type of chair, I guess, or something.
Doesn't sound comfortable at all.
Vice squad, whatever, you know. Then on the second page, under mail, Kohler distributes. And it wasn't a draft letter because I had been given permission to correspond. So Kohler distributes correspondence to Donna McNichol. So, and that was all I had on that. And then I had a comment on the italics. It's kind of interesting. I'll be quiet about that.
On the second page for mail, I think the open meeting law complaint, it's filed with the select board, not the attorney general. And it's dated July 5th, because in terms of I'm on
Under mail.
mail at the top of the second page.
Oh, okay.
So it's filed with the select board, and then it's dated July 5th, because we didn't get it in front of us basically at this meeting until the July 8th. So the on should be dated, and the attorney general should be selected. On the first page, I think it would be good to include in here under next stamps or under John Murphy's section, somewhere, even if it's at the end, I would like to see us record that as the host community, we're getting the 27%, is this not the correct word? Versus the standard discount, which is 21. I think it's kind of important.
That's kind of a discount other projects get.
And then I think we have in that same paragraph, if I read through on line 3, contracting which complement and pages. So pages should be apostrophe S and attorneys plural without an apostrophe.
I was wondering on that 27%.
Oops, sorry.
Of all the other values that we talked about in that meeting, I don't really think we talked about the discount as much as we talked about the term and all the other, of course, we caught poor John a little by surprise having a different contract than he had, but at least I think the 27% fee for tonight's meeting to say that that was in the contract instead of, because I don't really remember us
You didn't
talking
set up
about,
that.
we talked about a lot of things in
No, we
that
did.
contract. Did we talk about the 27%?
Because he was telling us it's pretty sure that he could not necessarily go any higher than that, and that's the way for each contract, we would say it was 21, there's normal, so
That's fine.
okay. So, let's see, so we got pages, attorneys, and then the need to go back and forth with attorneys, you don't need it to have apostrophe. And then 2 lines down, town of Ashfield's apostrophe S attorney. And then 2 more lines down, where it begins, Murphy has another option if the attorneys, we don't need an apostrophe. Is attorneys YS or RBS? Sure. Then I'm not, I just want to make sure I wasn't just leaving something incorrect behind.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Nope, that's all.
Well, my addition is that it doesn't state in there anywhere what I brought up at the end of the meeting as far as using the email.
As far as what?
As far as using the email and getting a reply. Remember I brought that up, and we were just talking about that. So we can put an addition in there that we discussed about any correspondence between us should be through the select board.
Is it that, I know you brought it up, I remember that, but I don't remember when.
It was right at the end of the meeting.
No, I remember it was at the end of the meeting, but I don't remember the date. It was that meeting?
What was that?
What was that?
Okay.
Does it want to compose a sentence
What
for
other
that?
meeting?
Because we're approving the minutes, it's next.
I mean, Carter discussed his position as far as correspondence amongst the select board. As far as use of the, only expect replies if it comes through the select board address at Ashfield. They would not reply to emails from personal email accounts. Besides that, I'm good. Anybody else covered? Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. There, 2 of those are done. All right, liaison reports. I had promised to bring you the highway department job descriptions, but I left them way before they started today, so I didn't go to the highway department. But, if I bring them in, and Mary can scan in whatever comments, and then we'll distribute them. So, right, since we got 2 weeks,
Yes.
a little better than 2 weeks, right, before our next meeting, that will take care of that. Do you have anything?
Only that we noticed on the warrant that the signal trailer for the speed sign has been ordered, or was paid for, it will be paid for by the warrant. And it was supposed to ship on the 9th, so it ought to be coming fairly soon. But we will be trying to figure out how it works, and it should be deployed and working for us. And it came in slightly under $9,000.
Yeah, I do think it's
Good.
No, I hope it does everything that we're hoping it can do, and we're able to manage it. On that thought, we haven't met with the police chief since we did all that. I mean, we put together,
I think it's basically.
well, I wonder if we needed to come to a meeting. Because and maybe he doesn't need to come to a meeting, because I know it's etiquette for him to do it, but, when you and I separately were at the finance committee meeting,
Yes.
and talking about it, that you brought up a very good point that I hadn't heard the police chief talk about, was that this machine would maybe make him be able to bank some time, so he wouldn't run so close to the rail on his budget all the time. Have you had that discussion with him, or do we need as a board to talk about that? Hopefully managing the machine will help him manage his time, because that was an excellent point. It's for us to talk about it and not expect it from him, I think would be.
Right, because I think I said that at that time, thinking that if it's on the road in the area where normally we would put an officer, perhaps that officer doesn't have to be there, let's suppose it was 2 hours.
maybe that person's not on the road, so you've got a little time and you don't have to use all
Wouldn't have to use-
33 or 32 hours per week.
I mean, excellent, I mean, like, not only is it a speed control tool, but a time management tool. I wonder if we shouldn't just let it in the past.
Do we want to give them a little
There's
time?
there's no problem with having some of these people come in and see us once in a
No,
while.
we're supposed to manage them, and even though he's a strong officer, we're supposed to oversee that.
Give them a little time and see, I mean, because they haven't
By the time-
there by September or something.
By the time he gets it, he'll probably have it for 4 or 5 days.
When is he supposed to get it again, Paul?
It's like the 16th.
Like August.
No, July. Should be in
So, yeah, let me receive it, and
We'll set up, we'll try to make an arrangement.
Or
to
sometime
get
in
him on the
August.
agenda. Yeah, sometime in August.
Yeah. Let's
Same
try
with the
that.
highway superintendent, as soon, I figure it's highway superintendent, as soon as the state bond issue gets all signed and so forth, and he knows how much money's coming, we can.
So we went for the last Wednesday in August. I'm assuming you want to be here for this, which the second meeting in August, you're going to be away. So,
We'll figure it out, I just wanted to, I think it's a good idea.
doesn't have to be
Yeah.
August. it's okay. All right.
July is flying by us, Ron's ready for vacation.
count on it.
Anything liaison wise?
Yeah, a couple things, real quickly. I met with the Nolans, Joe and Phil. We walked the dike, hand in hand, talking about a 20-foot maintenance easement, wrapping around, and told them they'd be involved with the process. I wanted to meet with them. I knew that we had talked superficially to them. But we sat at the picnic table outside their house, where I did, and discussed how it would go. I'd like to create this easement just using words, and not have to hire a survey firm to create a plan. So it'll be, I've created in the past in my career. So what I would probably do is incorporate his thoughts. He had some thoughts about mowing, for example. He said rather mowing it once a year, because there is a wet area there, and I don't think we'll be able to get in there until the winter time when things freeze over. But what he doesn't want to see is that the thing just roll up crazy every year and then get moved down once. He says, if I'm giving you this easement, I'd like to replace it. So that would be that to you folks. We could talk about it. And there was discussion about the big trees. And I wanted to know how they felt about those big trees, because those big trees are addressed in the report also. And
Way at the
way
shallowest
at the
part
end,
of the dam.
I'm telling you, there's about 5 of them. He says, I love those trees. Those trees give me shade. It'd be definitely hot here without them. And I thought a little bit, and I said, well, how come these trees are here? If this guy's suggesting that they come down back in the 80s, why didn't they take them down? He said, well, part of a negotiated agreement, verbally. So I said, oh, good. So these thoughts are in my mind that we can talk to the person who inspects the dam and say, listen, those are out. That's part of the negotiated agreement from previous years. I think that person will see that we really do that argument. And then he said the rest of the stuff is because it's all poplars and phragmites and stuff that's just all over the place. And he also did say something interesting that I have to check with the chief on, maybe Doug Field. He says, I've granted the fire department an easement over my property already for the dry hydrant, but I haven't seen anything on record. And I told him that, and he said something like, I think they didn't report it. So I would incorporate that in this new easement, because having access to that hydrant is very important. And I think we can do it almost all with Phil. I have to look at the boundaries a little bit more. It might be with Scott too. So my next step along that front, when I get a creative moment, is to write up a suggested easement to bring before this board, and then get permission to go to Donna with that easement and try to suggest that she approve it, but do the work that she won't have to do, because what she would probably suggest is we have a plan prepared and have a survey done. But if I can give her the words that effectively do it, and she doesn't have to do that, then that would be good. You know, you can just say a 20-foot easement bordering the dike to the southwest, you know, and so on and so forth, and effectively do the same thing. So I haven't had a chance to put those thoughts on the paper, but I will do that.
Was that dam, I don't know for sure, was it either reconstructed from scratch or was it just added on to?
It was both. There was an old retention wall. I didn't bring it with me today, but you can see the existing plan, the existing conditions, and there was an old retention wall by owners that went quite far down towards those path, well, to the cabin. And then there was some embankment there also, but this was really the first major embankment improvement. I mean, there wasn't, I don't know.
There was a spillway.
There was a spillway.
Was that the 1980s?
Yeah, 80s were when the design plans were done, and I talked to Phil, we talked about early 90s.
I would say that that dam really is not, it's not 20 years old.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if it was 20 years old.
I got into 1983, and it was there when I got there. So
Yeah.
I think it-
93?
Early 90s is when it
So it might have been 91, 92, because I don't remember.
It must have moved in right after we busted the champagne bottle on
Could be.
the valley.
So that's that, and then the other thing is, I sent to you guys, because I didn't know, I'm nervous about Alan Rice's plan.
I saw what you said.
So I sent it just in case in my absence you guys wanted to kick it around. These are my thoughts. I actually met with him, and I agreed that we didn't really talk about much that night here, because what I did is I went to Elmer's with him, and I needed to get inside his head on this thing, because this is all kind of foreign to me, a lot of this stuff. And so what I've submitted here, I did mostly track changes, but I just wanted to give you guys my thought on this whole thing. And I've folded you the Word document so that you can do what you want with it too. You can add, you can subtract, you can do whatever you want. Theoretically, we could all work on the same document, but it might be too confusing. We might have too many people involved with it. But I didn't mean to put it on the agenda. I just wanted to let you know I sent it.
And I put it in there for the 31st.
I just hope
The
the
next
deadline isn't hard, like Doug says.
No, it isn't. There is not a formal extension, but
It's
It
a
is
little bit-
very soft.
Okay, fine.
He said it's very soft because if you look at the towns that have not registered from last time, it's, out of 318 cities and towns, there's probably 159. So it's,
one of the things I was concerned about in terms of the rivers, when we talk about that, and I don't think one was on the board at the time the woman came and made a presentation about that, but she made mention about not having the farm animals going to the brooks and streams. And somehow that didn't seem right in our agricultural area where farmers would be relying. I mean, when I come up the road, they haven't got monstrous herds trotting through, there's a horse here, and there's there, or whatever. But I hate to see that somehow when we wanted something and suddenly we shut all that down, and we really did need that to happen.
Is that Indian problem?
No, but I'm bringing it up from before you were on the board,
Okay.
and I remember she came before us, and it stuck in my mind that if they manage the rivers, I wouldn't want it to say, oh, yeah, now by the way, we're putting the fence in here, or you gotta put the fence in here, or can't go in there, because we're not talking about hundreds and hundreds of animals. Yeah, in a couple places, there's a horse here or there, or whatever, and they're using it to water. and I
So
wouldn't
maybe we
shut
need
it
to
off.
put in here the right to farm situation, what is that? What's it? Right to farm.
If that
that
was
was a bylaw path.
It's a bylaw.
So that we didn't accidentally find that we eliminated
Yeah.
people being able to do that. I mean, I see one in South Ashfield all the time, and it walks down and gets up, it's one horse, it's not disturbing.
I think that's an excellent point, because my issue with a lot of these things is that we're trying to, which just turns into a bunch of gobbledygook because we're trying to put words and try to address something because we think somebody wants it addressed. But, first you have to decide what waterways in the town of Ashfield come under Army Corps of Engineers, if any, right? And then, like you're talking about, the livestock and so forth, there's federal regulations on that. I mean, that is stuff that's above and beyond where we're at, depending on size of the herd and that sort of thing, and out of traffic. So, we get layers upon layers of regulation. You can tell part of that frustrates me to know that.
Do you want to talk about this on the 31st, maybe? Get it off the table? Here we go.
I have that tentatively scheduled, tentatively scheduled.
I really didn't think we'd be at 10 o'clock, we pointed that tonight, that's great. And I didn't mean to shut you off on your liaison report.
No, it's okay.
Anything with the fire department?
The chief is away.
Okay.
He'll be back.
Tom, I do have a question for you on the highway.
Yes.
Because I saw it, my mind was tickled again when I looked at Doug's emergency management table there that he gave us, and they were talking about what happens if 112 or 116 gets shut down, emergency reroutes and stuff. Smith Road, where are we with Smith Road? Tommy said when I was visiting with him for a short period last year that it is in the pipeline and that we will be reimbursed for it, the money associated with it, because in anticipation of those improvements, he filed his application. I would hope, that's a very important bypass to that section of the hunt. And I know that our mail carriers.
After this spring, it's washed out worse than it was before because the water,
And it will keep going.
so, but it is in the, Tom and I have, we're trying to schedule an appointment with Richard Turn to try to put whatever issue there is to bed so we can finally get up, hopefully by Labor Day, I'm really hoping that we can get up to something that looks like a full staff. But they're getting a lot of roads gravel. I noticed they had, today they had Lilyfoot Road all put back together, they had that all upgraded and put some new gravel in there and they've got another hill road. There's a lot, when you drive around, there's a lot of roads that are shaped up, which I think will shape up nice. Now, how long they'll last? I mean, they should have been done a month ago, but when you have 5 or 6 weeks of rain, it's not grading at that point, it's making mud ruts. So,
Was he able to get any summer help for hiking and stuff? Okay.
I saw 2 young people driving around.
whacking their brains out.
Where were you getting compensated from the state for the 200 grand? Have you received a check for that?
That was a notice what we had, right? It was a notice that land was transferred in. That was $184,000.
Transferred into what? Into our account? So don't we have an obligation to pay down that note?
Actually, Laura looked into prepaying him now, and we can't pay for it till December.
You cannot pay it till December. Interesting. I thought I remember some wording associated with that that said if we were compensated for it, it's our obligation to pay it down. If that's what you're saying,
I can double check, but that's what I remember saying last week, so I can, but I'll check again, but I was surprised.
Well, and I kind of question the wisdom of it because that $200,000 isn't the total of what we're going to have to pay out. So if we get the note out there and attack happens on Smith Road and at some point somebody's patience is going to run out and there's going to be pavement over that culvert up on Pleasant Street. Right? I mean, the state doesn't want you to, maybe not want you to do it, but they won't tell you what they do want you to do it. And at some point, you got to just take it.
It must be very
He's gone back, but he hasn't heard anything
Yeah.
from him.
It's gone back several
I
times.
know, yeah, at some point.
Right, so, in the
And
papers.
that's when you'll hear from the state.
In the papers in the town, cable. So,
But there's quite a few projects that haven't been tackled, that if you're gonna be waiting for reimbursement, maybe it's best just to keep that money.
Just asking.
So, yeah, okay, you're okay with it at the moment? As I understand it, it's December when it will be paid.
I think it would be good that we know the details of what
Right.
it's saying. In a manner that we can understand.
Information consultant we used. Did he need any help with that? I mean, he helped with all of the others. Or is it just a matter of reading the contract?
And Alan Taylor and Tom have gone on 2 trips, I believe, to look at graders. So you can get very, very fancy ones, or you can get ones that maybe somebody from Ashfield could work on if something happened, so I think they're gonna go that route. You pull this handle, this happens, you push that handle, that happens.
So they're gonna go with the secret one, right?
That's,
Do they have enough money?
they feel that they're gonna have plenty, including snow equipment, so. But I'm hoping by the 1st of August or our next meeting that we'll have specs, so we can advertise.
Did anybody, having looked, give it any idea, like, if you ordered this August 1, that we would have it for next June, or they're around the corner, you can get it in 4 months?
I bet you get it easier than you can order a combine for 800 acres.
If you wait too long, it'll go up in price for sure. with the process.
Mail?
Yeah, this is from Doug, says attached,
Doug?
sorry, Doug Field. And it's about the hazard mitigation plan, which will be on the agenda the next time. There's some pages, and I think what he'd like the select board to do is look at it to see if anything needs to be changed. So what I will do is forward this select board.
I think we've gotten this.
Have you got it?
I mean, I recall.
Maybe I sent it out before. I don't have an indication here that I did, maybe or maybe I did.
I've reviewed it, but I think it's actually pretty good.
Table 410.
Not the whole 127
No.
pages.
Table 410. Is this the one where he starts at page 1 and then it goes to 123, but then he sent us just certain pages?
Yeah, he sent us just the pages.
Just
that
certain
look like down
pages
the
that
prices.
start with
Right,
table
this thing here.
410 2012. And it looks like this. It's got,
See, I don't have that.
I don't know what it is.
I have the email, it's from Doug Field, and it went to
What date?
admin assistant.
Does it say table 4, Doug?
I get it.
I just got sort of the first 3 pages as opposed to the detail you want us to see. But I'll tell you what, I will send this out if you have it. Great, if not, you'll have it then. And, since let's see. We could arrange for a way to get individual feedback that I can send back to Doug if you have it, or we wait, bring it in next time, and we'll assume that we're not going to sign at all on the 31st, but we get it.
Well, why don't you forward us this information? I mean, I'm sure it's gonna take a few trips to beat this.
I think so. All right, so that's for it.
If we don't start, we're not gonna.
I actually thought it was easier than Alan's effort. It was very complete. I looked at it and didn't have any, I was surprised. I mean, it was really professional.
Yeah, I can't find that in mine.
I don't know how I got it. I mean, I know I got it in the email. Doug must have CC'd me, but it doesn't say it was CC'd.
Yeah, I think that's all. That's what you handed out last time. What else for mail?
There were a couple of balloons that came in today from the state, but I didn't roll with those. I did those.
Yes.
I took those out, and we already discussed it in the meeting
You know what, this was, I had saved this in my next week thing, so this was distributed last week. You have any last week's stuff here?
I left mine.
Okay, because it came in Mary's blue folder.
That might be when they made a copy and move it forward
And then,
as
what-
well, and we can know about it.
and what she said here, is some of these items in your folder are for the 7-8 meeting.
That's right.
And then some are to carry, here it is.
I left.
Some of the items that are carried forward to the 7:15 meeting, hazard mitigation, open meeting.
Thank you, Ron, I had that, no, I didn't indicate this was part of that.
So it's in the folder.
So I won't
Send
send
it.
it, do you have it, unless you don't?
Send it, because I'm not seeing it, so rather than spending my time to use one, you just send it.
Yes.
Use one. Please.
Next time I get it, maybe get my time to fly through all the paperwork. That takes care of us on that?
That's,
So let's do this little bit of housekeeping. We sent HCOG home with assigned original, we need to have one for ourselves.
I believe today is 21, you start that.
Public here, is there any public comments tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board and citizens of Ashfield. There is no moral justification for using valuable time to berate another person rather than using that time to work on finding logical solutions to problems. Fairness should cause us to treat each other with respect and tolerance. There will always be temptation to demonize those with whom we disagree, but responsible adults can do better than that. How can we blame our children for bullying when the adults give so many excellent examples to them of how to go about doing it? If everyone believed the same on everything, one of them would be unnecessary. We have no right to impose our values on someone who has an opposite point of view. So I respectfully ask that you consider there is no moral justification for using valuable time to berate someone else, but use that time to work toward a logical solution to the problem. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Ricky.
Well, along those lines, I actually just want to put something totally out of the box on the floor because I haven't been here for a while, but some of the issues still seem the same. And, you know, a lot of time is given to this thing or that thing, and people go and sit down on the park bench and talk with each other and have chats and go to Elmer's. It really, to me, seems like the select board ought to get the players in the Ashfield house, the people who feel that they've been aggrieved in any way, and invite them to a little meeting of open minds and just hear what people have to say. Not to maybe solve anything, but it's always been my opinion that when people are arguing, really they want to be heard. And it seems that maybe, I don't know for, anything, nothing definite, but maybe things could get better if people were listened to and not pulled out as, you're the bad guy, you're the good guy, we don't need this, you're doing this to us. Because I don't think anyone was trying to do anything to anybody else. I don't know what the story is, but it seems like the issue goes on, and I don't think it's one particular or two particular or three particular people's faults. But it just seems like it would be a really, really good idea if at the select board's invitation that there was a sit down for an hour or 2 hours to address people's thoughts without any, agenda, without any thinking about what might be a possible outcome, but just to listen to other people. And as Beverly said, somebody has enough different ideas, might be totally opposite. Oh well, it's just a totally opposite idea. It doesn't make that person a bad person. And it doesn't mean that that person's trying to get in anyone else's way. Maybe some people just think that certain things are wrong. And I don't know, maybe if everybody had a platform to speak about what they feel is wrong, it might help. Because we like to take things off of the table, and maybe this will help move in that direction.
Thank you. Anybody else? Joanne?
There were times when I couldn't hear you. Now, I know I'm way back here, and the fan is going, but are the mics workable?
They're too far away.
Because they
And I keep backing up.
they didn't produce.
You can put it on that one. Wayne, you have anything for us? Did you get
The
your...
other two have made the statements for perhaps a broader spectrum of the time. I think that the select board has, in each one, in their own ways, tried to address this. I don't agree that you're not listening in one sense. I do feel, and have felt from the beginning of this, that one of the jobs of the select board is to listen to the people, no matter what other agencies are involved, if they're not getting the results to which they're entitled.
Anybody else?
Oh, I got one thing.
Again, a second time?
It has nothing to do with that. It's just something little.
Seconds. The
Much
last
easier.
time, I was going to let you speak on.
I talked to Doug Hanson earlier, but if he doesn't know the answer, maybe the select board ought to take it up over at Bill's house, across the street from me, Bill's and Ash.
Yeah.
There's an open thing that looks like a pipe. And Doug was gonna take a look at it, but if he didn't know what it was, maybe he'd come here and ask.
Is it just made itself visible?
Probably last month, but I stuck a rock on it because Bill was looking, he says, what's that? And Doug said maybe a lawnmower went over it, but it's an open pipe too, he didn't know what.
How
He
big?
didn't, like that big
So it's
probably.
like a water gate or something.
Well, yeah, that's what Doug said, it may have been like where to turn on the water or to turn it off, but he wasn't sure. So he might find out the answer when he goes and looks at it, but if he doesn't, I'll just bring it up that it's there. And it's just a hole into a pipe that's open.
Different subject. But have you heard anything about what's up with the property across the street?
Haven't heard a thing. Other than it can't be sold. And they've tried a number of times to auction it, but they can't.
Because it's a veterans deal or some such?
They had,
So
it was
some
something
kind of
with,
a protection?
Isn't the Board of Health looking into that, Betty?
Probably, the water district is too, but they had to go back and retake it because it had gotten advertised wrong the first time. They didn't go after all of the heirs. So then the court threw it out saying, no, you can't take this house, with all of this restructuring of, taking foreclosing on houses. So it had to all go back, and that took a long time because there were a lot of heirs. He had a lot of kids. And his now ex-wife had to be notified too, because at first she wasn't, because he died 5 days before the divorce was final. So she had to get what she thought was a piece of the pie, which there's no piece. I mean, there's nothing left there, but, and of course, so much is owed on that nobody, it's like up to 173,000 on it, and nobody's gonna pay that much money for that house. Because the first auction they had, they wouldn't accept anything because they had a minimum bid. Nobody was gonna go, and at that time, it wasn't up that high, it was maybe like 160.
But I think there's something more complicated legally with it that Phil Plus knows.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you
I wish.
If you had your ear to the rail.
No, but I do know that at one point Jamie went into the basement and the oil tanks were leaking.
Nice.
I think Betty had something about that
Betty,
pipe.
did you have a
I don't know,
comment?
because I couldn't hear her. I wanted to
Oh,
ask
sorry.
where this pipe is.
It's right by the sidewalk, closer to the yellow house. And if you just walk along the sidewalk, you'll see a rock about this big that we just put on top of it. So Doug said it may have been as simple as that there was a cap on it and the lawnmower would hit the cap and it went flying somewhere.
Because Becca should go up and look just in case it's the water shut off.
Right. Well,
The water shut off, it's not on the side, not near the driveway, I don't believe.
it's not near Bill's driveway. It's closer to the yellow house. But it's only a little bit away from the sidewalk.
Could very well be the water.
We
shut
didn't
off.
put that stone somewhere when Bill's up painting, he's gonna fall on it. Last thing we'd worry about is the stone covering the pipe if he fell from
Well,
where
Jamie
he's
takes
painting.
care of his ladders.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, any other business? I'll certainly entertain a motion.
To adjourn?
All about it.
So moved.
Says 10:21 on my clock.
Second.
Yes. All those in favor say aye.